The Wolf and the Waiter, a werewolf fairy tale as told by Barry Sharps to his daughters, Cassandra and Miranda. Okay, so once upon a time, there was this wolf, right? He was a big, tough wolf, and the whole forest knew it. He was like king shit of the whole place. But like he was cool, too. He didn't like to push people around. He was just chill. Big and tough and chill. But then one day, he wakes up, he steps out of his cave, and the whole forest is gone. Because it's a city now. A big-ass city with like stoplights and office buildings and Denny's and shit. And he knows he's got a problem. Because there's human people everywhere. And it doesn't matter how big and tough you are. When a bunch of human people see a predator, they get together and they kill it. So the wolf knows he's got to do something and he's got to do it fast. So he ducks into that Denny's because it's the closest thing. And he sees an apron, you know, one of those little half aprons, and he grabs it and he stumbles out into the main room of the Denny's. And for a second, he just freezes. Everyone is looking at him, like dozens of regular human people just staring at him, and he could feel all their eyes. And he suddenly understands that, yeah, he's a predator, but they are also predators. And he realizes that maybe he's just made a huge fucking mistake. And then instinct takes over. He spreads open his jaws, his massive jaws filled with sharp wolf teeth. And he says, "Can I take your order?" And some guy says, "Yeah, can we get 2 grand slams and a moon's over my hammy?" And boom, just like that, he's a waiter. Is he still a wolf? Yeah, of course he's still a wolf. He still loves to run, he still loves to hunt, he still goes out on his patio at night to call out to the moon. But he's also a waiter, because if anyone realizes that he's not a waiter, they'll make his ass into a throw rug. So that's why we live the way we live. That's why we got this thing called the masquerade with all the rules and the guidelines, and that's why you just gotta stop biting the other kids. In the decades and centuries since its great tragedy, the city of Salem, Massachusetts has become a sanctuary for the strange, the unusual, and yes, the supernatural. Werewolves, vampires, fairies, mages, and other more esoteric things now walk the streets in relative safety. And when the mortal population gets too curious, they do what any community would do. They form a committee. Welcome to The Chimera, a role-playing adventure podcast. Our campaign this season is called Gallows Hill, and it takes place in our version of the World of Darkness, the setting that encompasses Vampire the Masquerade and all its sibling products. I'm Vin LeBate, and I play 8-Ball, a vampire with mental health issues and an assortment of fake IDs, and joining me this season are...
I'm Braden Lamb, and I play Mew, a mummy cat who's into urban planning and sacred geometry.
I'm Jeffrey Bard, and I play Jack Foxglove, a werewolf shaman who coaches the Salem High School football team, the Salem High Witches.
I'm Ethan Bremner, and I play Mother McCree, an immortal Irish witch and American Civil War veteran.
I'm Kacey Smith, and I play Truly Reynard, an animalistic fairy running from her past, sometimes literally.
And I'm Kelly Weissman Asbruth Jackson, the storyteller.
Now, let's get started.
Okay. For this game, we decided to split into 2 parties because you have a long list of things to get into, and it seemed like at least some of them might benefit from specific sets of different skills or connections or whatnot. So tonight we're spending some time with 8-Ball and Truly, and they're going to just knock off whatever they can get through on this list that isn't the grisly murder, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you had an order you wanted to do things in?
I did.
Remind me of what it was.
We're starting with Trixie.
Mm-hmm.
And then Henri, the 2 that I've got names for based on our initial files. And then Next up, we have a report of someone having a vampire neighbor, which I think had a familiar address.
Also snakes.
Snakes is Henri.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and someone had a vampire neighbor, and then someone had a weird date on Reddit. Those two are sort of interchangeable depending on what information we can dig up beforehand. And then the other thing was the Athenaeum thing, which is not really either of our wheelhouses. But if we get there,
maybe we'll see some cool lights.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're starting a new evening here, right? So why don't we start by following, I assume you have some place you plan to meet, whether it's at Tuck Alley or Bellbook and Candle or some point of meeting up for the evening. Why don't we start with Truly, just give us some flavor for where you were coming from on your way to this meeting point.
Well, Truly works at Bellbook and Coffee, so she probably had a shift, whether or not they're meeting there or not. She usually has sort of the evening to late night shift or the kind of like late night to early morning shift. Mm-hmm. So I think she's probably getting off around like 10 at night tonight. And she's, kind of collecting up counting through her tips and making sure the last of the customers she was seeing are on their way out the door, and shooting the shit a little bit with a couple of the folks that had come in the hour earlier to pick up because she was going to leave, and checking with her boss and just all the kind of just routine day-to-day stuff that is bizarrely normal when you're not a human but you're pretending to be one. And she heads back to her apartment, which isn't too far. It's probably a couple blocks away and maybe up on top of another, like a barber shop or something. And she, unlocks the 3 locks on her door and opens the door and closes the lock and relocks the other 2 and puts the deadbolt across and, has a quick shower, changes her clothes, kind of braids her hair, swaps out her sandals for Crocs, shrugs a little backpack over her shoulders and repeats the process with the doors, just checks, make sure the windows are locked. They also have bars on the front of them, so it's a little bit unnecessary, but she does it anyway. And she heads down to meet 8-Ball, wherever they kind of arranged to meet, maybe at like the mouth of Tuck Alley, not quite going in since they're not, I think they're heading somewhere else tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say a thing about changelings. Kelly, let me know if this doesn't work for you, but I'm gonna kind of say that if you have a relationship with a changeling and you have seen them in the Umbra, that from here on out you can kind of see what they are. Does that seem reasonable?
I think that's very reasonable. There are other conditions where you might have seen them, like if they're actively using their powers, their seeming tends to fade away too. But basically,
sure. Once
you've seen a changeling, especially for another supernatural creature, I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, okay, now you kind of see them as they are, right?
Yeah. So, Truly probably looks a little bit different to 8-Ball, but it's also different than she looked in the Umbra. In the Umbra, she was just this like other thing. That wasn't human, but was sort of similarly shaped. And now it's a little bit weird because when 8-Ball first sees her, she probably just looks like a person, but she's going to become aware over the first couple minutes as they interact that like if 8-Ball just kind of relaxes the way she looks at Truly or just kind of views her slightly differently, like it snaps into focus that, oh, right, she's also this other thing. And it's not that she transforms, it's just that you're kind of aware that she's got both at the same time. And the way we've been kind of comparing this to is it's like one of those drawings that's 2 things at once. So like the drawing of like an old woman, but it's also a young woman, and it's just how you look at it. So it's not that one of those things goes away. It's just that when you focus on the young woman, that's mostly what you see. But at the same time, you can kind of figure out where the old woman is and the other way around. So that's kind of the effect.
Cool.
Okay, so you arrive at the mouth of Tuck Alley. 8-Ball, do you think you're early on time or late?
Probably early at this point since Truly stopped off to shower and everything. So 8-Ball's probably just like lounging, like just leaning up against the wall, like staring at her phone. Do I have an address for our first stop?
You know Trixie. You know what? You know Trixie relatively well, not tremendously well, but like talked to her multiple times before, been a customer multiple times before. And while you've never had to make anything for her with an address on it, that is, like, she doesn't have a driver's license, for instance.
Yep.
You've made ID for her for other people before, and you know that address.
Okay, cool. Hey, Drew, you good to go?
Yeah, I'm pretty much all set. So, we're meeting the, like, all I want for Christmas person first. The one who wrote the little letter. Yeah.
So there's a reason, and I think we've started walking at this point.
Right.
There's a reason that I sort of wanted to do this with just you and not everyone else. So Trixie is a vampire and she is a child.
Oh, I was really worried you were going to say that. Okay.
Yeah. I sort of figured that some people might suspect that, but
eternal children are just a little creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, just a little. No offense.
Yeah. They're also frowned upon in a lot of circles. So I figured we'd be team discretion.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, so I've helped her out a couple times blending in. Obviously, there's a lot of problems when you don't age and you're a child.
Right.
Usually it doesn't look like a letter like this, though. So I don't really know what to expect.
How old is she actually?
Do I know that?
It's not super common for vampires to talk about their age in years anyways. But, you've talked with her more than once. You've probably had some kind of a working relationship with her over the course of multiple years. You would say certainly old enough that in numbers years she would be well into her adulthood, maybe even old, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if she's like old, but she's definitely been around long enough that she's had to change her situation a number of times.
Okay. All right. I'm just gonna psych myself up for that. Okay. All right, let's do this.
Okay. The address that you have is for a pretty nice house on a quiet cul-de-sac in an area of South Salem. There's streetlights, but there's not enough streetlights. It's one of those neighborhoods that are too comfortable to be well maintained for people on foot. Basically, it's you're arriving there. Probably no earlier than 11 at this point. So it's late at night. As I said, this house it's nice. It's pretty nondescript, but kind of at the opposite side of the cul-de-sac, you notice that there's another house. I mean, all the houses around here look pretty much the same, but it's got a lot of, it's got a bunch of, like, this home protected by whatever security signs and stuff on it, and some visible cameras. Like, somebody very security conscious lives right across the way from this building.
Does it look like those cameras record the house we're looking at?
You can see, if you want to stop and examine it, there's probably at least 3 visible cameras. That's just the ones that are sort of obvious, right?
Yeah.
On the front of the house, and definitely it's dead obvious that one of them points right out at the street, and thus would capture the whole front of the house.
I feel like that's a privacy violation at the very least. But okay. Is there a way that we could circle around and approach from the back? Like, it's a cul-de-sac, so there's stuff on the other side.
So it's like when I say cul-de-sac, maybe I'm misusing this term. What I mean is the street dead ends and there's like a circle.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So around back is how do you want to get to the around back part, I guess is the question.
I guess just come through whatever's on the others. Is it like, does it back up against another house? Or is it like wooded or?
There are some woods. You want to go tromping off in the woods and see what's back there? Because basically you have to go out to a different street that seems like it's sort of perpendicular, sort of parallel to this one, right?
Yeah.
And then try and go through from that side and sort of see what you find is how I think you'd have to approach this, right?
Yeah.
So going through that, it does require some tromping around in the woods in the dark. And it seems like if you've got the lots lined up correctly, there's a tall fence, like a tall privacy fence between the woods and that property.
Okay.
That seems to be the house in question.
Cool.
Kelly, do you think the Never Tread contract covers like recordings?
That's the one that makes you hard, that like specifically erases your tracks?
Yeah, like leaves no trail behind. I'm trying to find it to see if it, because I don't remember if it touches on it or not.
Yeah, look it up. I think there was at least one effect that does that.
But I might not have.
But I don't think it was that one.
Okay.
I think there were definitely at least two completely different changeling powers that specifically were like, I'm really hard to track. And I'm like, that seems excessive. But I don't think it was that one that messes with recording technology.
Yep. Let me look it up real quick.
Yeah, I've got pretty much the same question for obfuscate, but I think at the first level it doesn't either.
There's definitely a level of obfuscate that should, but it's not level 1.
Yeah.
Let's see. No, it doesn't really say anything. It seems to be mostly about like not leaving a trail behind, and it says it makes it impossible to track except by supernatural means, but I feel like that doesn't really touch on recordings.
I don't think that it does. Just as a matter of sort of like design principle, I think anything that allows you to be tracked after the fact
would be different.
It should disrupt, right? Like, I don't know, stuff beyond physically looking at the tracks, like maybe scent, it would disrupt or something like that. But video could be, the thing that would disrupt video would be more like something that applies to invisibility, right? Or something that obfuscate actually mostly works by like taking away other people's perceptions of you.
Yeah.
And at the higher levels, it extends to that includes like technology's perception of you. I think that's the reason why I would cut the hair in that particular place.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So around the block it is.
So you've got this big tall fence. Yeah.
How good are you at hopping a fence?
Probably pretty good.
Cool. I'm gonna jump the fence.
Yep.
Okay. I think your vigor should be able to just like let you do that, right?
Yeah. I can super vampire jump it. So 8-Ball just gets into like a minor crouch and then does like kind of a low level anime leap over it.
Nice.
Are you going to do the superhero jump where you punch the ground?
No, we're still trying to be low key. So it's more like that, like stealth ninja crouch.
Yes.
It's probably just more for ninja than superhero anyway.
At least in color scheme.
Right.
But there is probably also a sound effect. She's probably like, sha.
So what would you say, like athletics and dexterity?
Yeah, she gets a bonus to athletics, right?
Let me look.
I feel like you have some sort of movement stuff in there.
No.
No?
She got a bunch of stuff for land speed, but I think that the second edition rules for beasts in general.
It's +3 to speed and initiative. And you can deal with lethal damage. She's got like, I wouldn't really call this under duress, so
yes.
Yeah, so there's that one, but I think this is just gonna be a straight roll. None successes, because it's only 8 and above, right?
8 and above, yes.
Alright, that's sad.
Did you get any 1s?
No, but I did not get anything above 8.
Okay.
Or I didn't get any 8s, so 7s and below.
So Julie is able to jump up and catch the edge of the... She's able to like grab on to the top of the fence, but can't nearly clear it, and eventually her fingers give out and she has to slide back down.
Oh, how humiliating. She's going to kick off her clogs and toss them over one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's going to try again.
Okay.
8-Ball watches 2 tremendously ugly shoes land in the yard next to her.
Nope, still no successes, but this time there is 2 ones, so this is going to be bad.
Let's see. Well, this time she doesn't even catch the top of the fence, falls back down, and what's she wearing? How is she dressed?
She's probably got on like some capri pants and it's like a t-shirt and a jacket over it, maybe a scarf if it's a little chilly.
Mm-hmm. She falls flat and lands in some mud. So these pants are probably done for at this point. It's just not going to be salvageable.
Hey, Evie.
Yeah, do you need a hand?
There happened to be like a gate maybe you can open from that side.
You can see from inside the yard, very well maintained, pretty sparse, no gate.
Is there like a clothesline?
A clothesline. It's really pretty empty. There's some lawn furniture, like a couple of those plastic Adirondack chairs.
Okay, I'll toss one of those over, and then I'll put one on this side so I can get like part way up and like sort of lean a hand over.
Okay. Kacey, why don't you roll again with a +1?
Okay. Is it +1 die or +1?
Yeah, just add an extra dice.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 successes.
Well, that certainly helped. Okay.
Yeah, 6 successes. So she gets over quite gracefully with the 2 chairs helping her out. Her face is beet red, and she just says to 8-Ball, "We're not going to talk about it."
So, are there any specific lights on?
Yeah, so this is like a nice semi-suburban house. 2 floors. There's a window on the left side of the house on the second story that has a light on. The shades are drawn. You can see the light is on. This side of the house around back, there's a sliding glass patio door, but everything's dark on the first level.
Okay, works in movies. Reach down, find a small stone, just toss it at the window.
Sure. There's a little delay where you're sort of waiting, looking up at the lit window. And then there's a movement of the curtains, and like you can see from the outside because it's backlit, like someone opening the divide of the curtains just in the middle, just at one part to kind of like peek out.
I make like a come down here sort of wave gesture.
So nothing for a little bit, little delay. And then eventually, it's dark on the inside of the house, glass patio door. You can't see that well into it. But eventually there's a face all of a sudden in the patio door. And then the door slides open. It's Trixie. So let me describe Trixie. Trixie is, as far as appearances go, a young girl, probably like early middle school age, somewhere in the 10 to 12 range. She is wearing an unpatterned black dress with a white collar. She has long hair in 2 braids. It's a medium brown rather than a black, but otherwise she looks a lot like Wednesday Addams.
I can see why she and 8-Ball get along.
She narrows her eyes and says, 8-Ball?
Yeah. Hi, Trix. So, I got word because I'm on a committee now, if you would believe that you're having some problems.
Understatement of the year. Who's your friend?
Oh, this is Truly Reynard. She's also on the committee.
Truly waves a slightly mud-spattered hand.
She is good at discretion, not as great at jumping as I had initially assumed.
Said we weren't going to talk about that.
We're not talking about it. I'm talking about it with Trixie.
Yeah, that's not cool either.
You should be more specific.
Okay, so you're on a committee.
Mm-hmm.
I missed Candlemas. What committee?
So they're calling it the Sanitation Committee because I think they don't want people to freak out. It's kind of a masquerade violation committee to make sure that shit doesn't blow up. So if you've got some shit that's about to blow up, we're here to help.
Yeah, you came to the right place then. Come in, just be quiet. Mother is asleep upstairs. I don't want to have to put her down again.
Mm-hmm.
Truly just kind of looks at 8-Ball.
8-Ball just sort of nods.
Takes a deep breath and heads in.
So, I don't know if 8-Ball, if you fully understand my situation, and I don't know what you told Miss Reinhardt, was it?
Reynard.
I have to maintain some pretense of being a conventional child in order to be able to move in mortal society at all, and I'd rather not have to live totally underground. So I've had a pretty sweet deal worked out here the last several years. I'm officially homeschooled, so there's not any questions about having to go to class and that sort of stuff, or why I'm not going out in the day. That's all kind of taken care of. These two mortals I got from out of state and moved them here, so there's no human connection to have to worry about in terms of local family asking too many questions. The whole thing's been relatively easy as these facades go, but a couple of years ago, there was a neighbor who moved in across the way who put up a lot of cameras, and that sort of cramped my style a little bit.
Yeah, that's why we used the back door. Good
call. It would have been manageable, but then, well, this whole time she's been leading you through the kitchen and down flight. She turns on a light and down a flight of stairs into the basement. It's a nice, well-finished basement, like a little bit of a rumpus room, right? There's a deep freeze over in one corner, and she opens up the deep freeze, and there is a middle-aged man in his pajamas in the deep freeze. She says, "Father died last week."
Oh.
I can't carry his body, obviously, so there's no easy way for me to fix this particular situation. It's been a trial to keep Mother in a even state. I have to keep making her forget that Father died or where Father is. She's been asking an annoying number of questions, but I can't just even bring someone in to take him out the front door because of the camera across the street. I assume you have some way of disposing of inconvenient mortal remains.
I know a guy. So I have a merit called I Know a Guy that allows me once per game to have a retainer, essentially generate a retainer of equal level to my number of dots and allies, which is 2. And my allies are criminal. Is it possible that I can just know a cleaner?
I mean, it's right at the top of the list of things that it would be useful for a vampire fixer to know, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is not really, at the end of the day, an unusual problem.
Yeah.
Her specifics are a little unusual, but I have a human body I need to dispose of is real basic.
Yeah.
So yes, I will say you definitely have a cleaner. Do you want to make them up, or should I make them up?
I don't have anything super off the top of my head.
Okay, so you shoot off a text, and wait a little bit, and you just giving them an address and telling them where, telling them you need their services, right?
And that there's cameras.
Ah, yes, the cameras.
So they should take the,
Use the two stairs on the either side of the fence.
Well, I was thinking more use the van that says a moving van, or not like a pest removal van, because pest removers don't use large objects, but like piano movers or something.
At 11 at night, I would do electricity or something that someone might actually need them to come out for at a weird hour.
Yeah, or something that would excuse them to move a crate.
Mm-hmm.
Or a duffel bag. I guess a good duffel bag. So yeah, electricians can carry a duffel bag. They know what they're doing.
Yeah. So the doorbell rings.
Mm-hmm. I will check the window first to make sure it's them.
There is a panel van outside that says emergency pest removal.
Then I will open the door.
Okay. On the other side of the door is your guy. Benji is sandy blonde. He has a little bit of scruff. He always has about the same amount of scruff no matter what time of day or night you see him. He's wearing blue coveralls and a blue cap, and it's got like a patch on the coveralls that also says emergency pest removal, although it's kind of poorly attached. Like you can see that it's already kind of pulling free. And he's got like a big bag, like a big gym bag.
Yep.
Nondescript, and a tool belt and some other stuff. And says, "So you have something you need to be taken away?"
Yeah. Right this way. Good news. It's well preserved, not messy, a little bit frozen.
Frozen. You know how hard it is to cut up frozen?
I don't. I mean, I'm assuming you can just thaw it once it's out. I'm not a professional. But I think the options were frozen or terrible. So,
see, this is why you gotta call me early on.
Oh, I didn't. I got here like 5 minutes ago.
So, you take him down to the rumpus room and show him the situation. He's like, all right, so change of plans. The bag's no good. We're going to take the whole freezer.
Okay.
I'll go get the dolly. Goes back out, comes back in. He's got a dolly from the truck. Goes down the stairs, unplugs the freezer, straps it to the dolly. Little help on the stairs?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so one of you has super strength. There's 3 people. It's not hard to get it, even if a freezer full of middle-aged person up the stairs. And he says, all right, so I'm going to go out. I'm going to put this in the truck. I'm going to make a big show of grumbling and, frustration. If anybody asks, you got some raccoons who got in to an unplugged freezer, closed the lid on themselves, died in there. You just want the whole thing gone, all right?
That is the best, grossest thing I could think of. Thank you.
All right.
Hey, are you doing karaoke next weekend?
I never miss a chance to sing The Boss.
Excellent. I will see you there.
All right. So he wheels that off and puts on a little show for the cameras, and he's gone.
Okay, Trix. Do you have the rest of this covered? Do you need a story? Do you need... What's up?
She, at this point, she's pacing and smoking a cigarette.
Okay, that I don't approve of.
What's it going to do? Kill her?
I mean, it's fire, so...
Well, let me see here. Mother can tell her coffee clatch that father ran off. Secretary, it's all very tawdry and pitiable. She'll get the house and the divorce. Yeah, I can make this work.
Okay.
How did he die?
She sort of shrugs a little bit and says, some banal mortal problem, aneurysm maybe. Then she looks concerned for a second. You don't think I've done him enough to eat where I live, do you?
No.
There's a lot of weird shit in town. I'm actually going to text Benji and just be like, when you're dealing with that, keep an eye out for anything weird. Don't actually know cause of death. Beware of surprises. Probably don't say cause of death, probably say COD.
It's a plausible deniability. Could have meant cash on delivery.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So Ben's going to send you a bill. Well, he's going to send me a bill and then I'm going to send you a bill. But I know that you're good for that. So, yeah, you've got, do you have my number? Do you have a phone?
She reaches into the one pocket on her dress and pulls out a simultaneously goth and bejeweled iPhone case.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's black, but it's got all these rhinestones all over it. It says, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, then anything comes up, shoot me a text, we'll sort it out.
She thanks you, and as you're about to leave, she remembers something and runs back into the house and comes back out with a pan covered in foil and says, Mother has been stress baking in order to deal with this strain of having her memories wiped over and over again. So here, it's not like I'm going to eat them.
Thanks.
It's a pan of brownies.
Nice meeting you.
A pleasure. Thanks for your help with Father's corpse.
We are remembering to go out the back way. I will help Truly over the fence first this time.
I'm never going to live this down.
That's true. Okay, that was slightly more terrifying, but easier than I expected. Next on the list?
Next on the list is Henri, the snake guy. But first, I want to check in on our other investigation. Coach, Mew, Mother McCree, you have the case file and the police report on that occult-tinged murder. So it's your game. What do you want to do?
So do we know the mundane police chief and stuff like that? I mean, are they not part of our circle? But I mean, Coach is a community figure. I'm a community legend, I guess. Legend in the worst possible way.
I was like, how do you put that nicely? I'm not sure.
So I mean, it's a murder, so there's probably pretty high profile involvement of the mundane police forces, right?
Yeah, that's sort of the reason why it in addition to the fact that, so like from an outside the game, human life has inherent value point of view, of course this is the most important issue because someone was killed. From an inside the game perspective of the veiled city of Salem, perspective of the arcane government of Salem, it's not particularly interesting that a normal human lost their life. No, the law is not concerned with that. Or the mayor is not concerned with that. What is concerning is that it seems like it has some sort of occult significance, and because mortals get up in arms when mortals get killed, the mortal constabulary, the local police force, is very involved, is paying a lot of attention to this, and that just raises further potential issues. So
and has the mortal press caught on to the arcane elements of this, that there was a murder and
no.
I
think that because there are, it's probably somewhere in the police file, because these sort of symbols and that sort of thing usually indicates the potential for somebody who might be, but this is just one data point, but it's potential evidence of a serial killer, right? Like someone who's ritualizing or otherwise doing things that have no relevance to the killing itself, right? An act of a crime of passion, someone kills somebody and then they flee the scene or they try to cover it up. premeditated murder. Someone kills somebody and then they try to cover it up. But this seems like there's something more going on there. And so for that reason, they would keep those details under wraps because they want to be able to control that information and use it to determine other potential links in the crime, right? Like if someone comes forward to confess, they want to be able to hold that in reserve and say, well, what are you confessing to?
And do we know anything about the victim? This is before we get there.
So in the file, you know his name. His name is Bob Stevenson. Works in Boston and commutes. Like he's an office drone in Boston. He was married, 2 kids. Yeah, like mundane details about this guy, none of which are very interesting.
Jack also recognized the symbol, didn't understand it or didn't grok it, but has seen it around before with the foxgloves.
Yeah, feels like maybe he's seen it at the fox. So I'm going to say that the sort of head of the family, the person who is in control of the main foxglove estate right now, would be his uncle. And he's seen it at his uncle's house before.
Okay.
That's the extent to which it's like, oh yeah, I feel like there's a lot of weird stuff there, but I feel like I've seen that there before.
Okay.
The other stuff, since you're looking through the police file and you've got all the details therein, just say it's horrendous. Like this was a really grisly killing.
But just him, right? His wife and kids are.
Yeah, just him. It was. It happened late at night, or apparently time of death. Based on when the body was found and that sort of stuff. Not that far from downtown Salem, sort of like on a.
Oh, okay. It wasn't at his house.
No, it wasn't his house. Not at all.
Oh, okay. So his family was presumably at home asleep.
Presumably, yeah. There's probably something in the file about an interview with him. They have no idea why he would have been in that place at that time. Doesn't.
Oh, okay. And what is the location?
Basically, like the outer edge of the downtown area. Like, is it starting to? There's a rail corridor that runs through downtown, and it's basically just off of the rail corridor. So it's not actually in the downtown area proper, but it's right along there.
And is there? It's so where is it? It's like is the murder scene is like in an alleyway or
behind the roast beef restaurant?
I mean, it's hard. I'm just having trouble thinking of words to describe a space like this. It's not like on the railroad tracks. It's basically like adjacent to a rail yard, although it's not really a rail yard because that's not the way that the rail lines work here.
Sure.
I could probably put it on a map, but it wouldn't have any real meaning for anyone except for Braden. But just like, there's a section of town that's bisected by the rail line, and in parts there's not really a lot of other stuff around it, but then in other parts there's like, I don't even know what they have back there. Like it's like a bunch of gravel and some switching stations, and so it's sort of like over in that mess, right? Over in the rail adjacent stuff.
So an open area that is not heavily trafficked or monitored.
Right, especially at night.
And
okay.
For the purposes of where we are, how long ago did it happen?
Let's see. Got this file, you've taken it all night. So like say 5 days.
Oh. All right.
So I think there's a couple of obvious ways we can begin. One is ask Uncle Fuzzy what the symbols mean, and the other is to go to the scene and start sniffing around.
We could also see if we can contact or talk to the guy in charge of the investigation. See if there's anything else they're not telling us.
Mother McCree's going to want to go to the scene and look around.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of her shtick, is to wander around looking at things and assessing a situation.
If she's going, Mew and Damal will go with.
Oh, absolutely. Sniffing around is what I do.
And the sooner the better, because this scene will get cleaned up at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you set a time to sort of meet up and go to the scene of the crime. You don't have to go at night necessarily, since this group doesn't include a vampire. But you may want to, just in terms of not having as many people around to deal with. I don't know what your preference is in terms of time of day.
I would definitely prefer night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would definitely say after the investigatory team is left the area for the day, because presumably they've been searching that space every day, probably, the police team. So yeah, certainly in the evening, at least.
Sounds good.
Okay, so you meet up that night. Jeff, why don't you walk us through your route, right? So from the starting point of his home or wherever else he'd be setting out from, how does Coach, like, just give us sort of like the on-screen journey from point A to point B to get to where he's going.
Okay. Let's see. So we're going to downtown Salem-ish?
Yeah.
All right. And that's over kind of where the waterfront is, correct?
It's a little bit back from the waterfront, but yeah.
Okay.
Salem's not that big, so everything's kind of clustered together. But basically there's the Salem Depot, the commuter rail station, is sort of at one end of the downtown area, and you could call the waterfront the opposite end of the downtown area.
Okay. So Coach is one of those folks who tends to walk around the city whenever he can. Getting exercise, being outdoors is pretty important to him. I guess not important, right? It's not a thing that he assigns value to, but it's more of it's what he needs to do. It's being outside helps him feel closer to sort of the earth and to the weather and to what's going on in his territory, right? If he's in a car, he doesn't have that connection to what's going on. He doesn't feel as keyed in. So it's evening, it's dark out. He leaves his house by the front door. It's a pretty modest house. It's comfortable but not extravagant. It's well manicured. The lawn is cut. The hedges are trimmed, and he's wearing his hoodie and his Salem Witches hat, a pair of jeans and a pair of sneakers. The sneakers are very well worn. And he's got his hands in his pockets, and he starts purposefully walking down his drive and then to his sidewalk. And then eventually, like, there are some trees and a little tiny bit of patch of forest over there. And he kind of makes his way over into that patch. And as he's walking in there, he kind of lopes down to all fours, and his body starts stretching and contorting as he continues to move forward, and he picks up speed a little bit until he's kind of at this kind of loping pace as his body transforms into a pretty modest-sized wolf. Not too big, not too small, gray and white, with piercing blue eyes. It's strange because the temperature of the air is such that he shouldn't be like steaming, but like his body kind of gives off this slight mist as he travels, like he's a little bit colder than the air is. And then he kind of lopes along, kind of taking these paths here and there. Every once in a while he'll pad across the street, but nobody happens to see him as he does that. He seems to know this area very well, and it doesn't seem to bother him or stress him out at all in sort of navigating these human streets as a wolf, until he pads up kind of alongside Mother McCree, who's standing there at the rail yard, and kind of sits down next to her and sniffs the air.
And we've established Mother McCree on the screen now. And Brayden, did you say that Mew and Amal are both going to join them, or just Mew?
They'll both be there. They're both a little bit late. Amal is still getting fixed up. He apologizes in the more measured voice. I apologize for my tardiness. Amal looks at Mew and begins applying a little bit of eyeliner, as though he's applying it in a mirror, but the two of them are just staring at each other.
That's great.
Very good, very good. So this is still a functioning rail area, right? You're back a ways from where the station is, and you have to sort of go into sections that are theoretically off limits to the public, but it's a railway. As long as you're not worried about walking on the tracks, you can pretty much get where you want to go. So, yeah, there's an area that's been cordoned off with police tape. They actually had to set up some poles to put on it because it's just kind of an open area, right? So to cordon it off, they just had to make kind of a ring and some sawhorses and that kind of stuff. It's been long enough now that it's not under guard, though, because they've gone through and gotten everything that they could potentially find value in.
Can I just simply assess what living things are in this area?
Sure, you want to use life to kind of sense what's around. Okay, so why don't you give me a roll for that?
That's life plus...
what's the magic you're rating for mages in this?
Is it Gnosis?
Yeah. Life plus Gnosis. Good.
Ooh. 3 successes.
Okay. There's some bugs, a couple of rats here and there, but nothing. And then, Mother McCree rates herself as alive as she ever is. And Coach obviously is alive, and Amal is alive, and Mew is not. And
right.
There are no big surprises.
Right. I probably knew that already. And I don't know how much this would work, but Bob is his name? Mm-hmm. Bob is dead, but do I get readings of life material, as it were? I don't know how that works.
Oh, okay. You're trying to detect like organic stuff. I think most of that's going to be covered under the death arcana.
Fair enough. Which I do not have.
So, that now the life is gone.
Sure.
It's less of a reading. I'll leave it there for now.
Yeah, fair enough.
So you're going to physically inspect the area, or what does everybody else want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the problem is that I need a piece of Bob. But what I'll do is I'll just pad around the enclosed area, or I guess the taped off area. Mm-hmm. Low to the ground, kind of sniffing. Is it gravel, you said?
Yeah.
Sniffing the gravel, see if I can get any scent of like blood. You said it was pretty grisly, right?
It was real grisly. Now it's been days. The area is partially covered and partially not. So it's somewhat exposed to the elements. They probably set up a tent over at one point, but again, that tent has come down since.
Right.
But it hasn't been officially cleaned, right? It had the scene has not been released. It's just been moved to a kind of a lower priority.
Right.
So there is definitely blood around. There's no obvious bits, but there's certainly blood.
I'm going to use Impossible Spore.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll spend 1 essence to remove any of the negative modifiers from age or environmental degradation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just try to see if I can pick up the scent, I guess. Or the sense, I guess. I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
And I will roll, I guess this would be streetwise, not survival for tracking.
Since it's urban, yeah.
Yeah.
And you were trying specifically to find Bob's scent, is that it?
The thing is, I can pick up Bob's scent. Like, I guess I want to. It's too much. There's too much there.
If you need a piece of him, could you gather up enough pieces of gravel that have blood on them?
The thing is, like, I don't actually. Maybe I don't want to do this because I don't want to track Bob. I want to track the person who killed Bob.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's so many people, there's no way I'm going to know which scent out of all of those scents is the one that killed Bob. But if the person actually did kill Bob, he would walk away with Bob on him. So maybe I do want it. Maybe I do want to just pick that blood scent.
Follow the fresher Bob smell?
Yeah, the fresher Bob smell.
Okay.
But I'll go ahead and try that. So that's going to be 5 dice, plus if I get 1 success, then I get 2 extra successes.
Okay.
I get 1 success, and so it's a total of 3 successes.
Okay. Yeah, you can definitely get Bob's scent. That's not hard, right? And especially with the magical intervention, if you wanted to follow his scent backwards from here, I think you've got a good enough outcome to do that. The question is, what happens if you try to follow the scent forwards?
Right.
That is, who carried the smell of Bob away from here?
Because the coroner took away his body.
Right.
But then it got in a car. I mean, okay. So this is going to take a little while, right? You've got to pace around. You've got to sniff various directions, sort of establish one scent trail, and then determine, okay, that seems like the way in which he arrived because it smells like him, but it doesn't smell like blood, right?
Right.
Okay. That's the arrival trail. You sort of got that marked out in your head. Then there's a departure trail that goes that gets faint very quickly and then goes like basically to the street. And you're like, okay, that seems like that's likely to be the way in which his body was taken away. That's the most obvious thing about that. So then the kind of intermediate trail, there is the intermediate trail goes off for a ways down the rail right of way, right? So you basically, you know how a rail corridor works. You basically got this area that's cut out of the surrounding parts that's just the rail line and sort of enough free space to keep people and things away from the danger posed by a fast-moving train. A ways down the line for a while and then reaches a manhole cover.
Before you wander off too far,
okay,
says Amal with Mew's voice, I would like to question the locals. Amal sighs and tilts his head down, and then he's Amal again. Mew stands up. He closes his eyes for a minute, and there's like a flicker of blue-green flame behind his eyes. He's activating words of dead hunger to see ghosts and revenants and any anchors they might have, and he can also interact with them physically.
All right. So he's basically just looking, kind of scanning the local umbra effectively. Mm-hmm. Are there any ghosts around?
Yeah.
The ghosts in Salem tend to cluster in certain areas.
Specifically, he's looking to see if Bob is still here.
If Bob is still here, yes. Definitely not. There is no lingering ghost of Bob hanging around. Let's see. There's no roll for Eyes of Dead Hunger, is there?
I think in order to spot ghosts and revenants, it's probably an occult plus. There is a roll, but I get to add my Ren to that roll, which is not great. But that's if they're actively hiding, I'm guessing, or if they're obscured or something.
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and make the roll?
Would that be maybe a wits and occult?
Yes.
Boy, I have some nice dice rolls. I have some nice dice pools, I should say. I do not have nice dice rolls. I got 1 success.
Okay.
Wait, 1 more for the Wren. That's a success. So 2.
Yay! 2. Okay. And so an anchor is like there was a different term for it in Old World of Darkness, but it's like an item that is associated with the ghost, right?
Yeah, it's a
fetter or something like that.
Yeah, it's a real world item that is in the physical world that the ghost is connected to.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on the power level of the ghost, they can only stray so far from it.
Okay. I think what you're going to be able to see through the use of that power is there's evidence of the murder also in the Umbra, right? There's no ghosts running around. There's no obvious anchors, but the violence carried over into the Umbra, which strongly suggests that there should be a ghost, right? The Umbra doesn't usually automatically reflect everything that happens in the Tellurian in the physical world. It tends to reflect highly emotionally charged events, especially violent ones. So you see the evidence of the murder in the Umbra that suggests there should have been a ghost produced by this, but he's not here.
Okay. I see no evidence of Bob in the spirit realm.
Coach Sparks.
Sorry. When you are tracking the scent, are you physically going to the manhole cover and all these other locations?
Yeah. So he would physically like follow this stuff. He would be very wolf-like and dog-like in that sort of like manner, right? Like his tail's wagging. He is kind of sniffing the ground, looks up, sniffs the ground some more, kind of circles around the area. Eventually he gets to the manhole cover and like he kind of whines a little bit. He noses the manhole cover. He paws at it a little bit, looks at you guys, looks at the manhole cover, that sort of thing.
Kelly, where are the arcane symbols?
The arcane symbols were in the gravel.
Like, just kind of dug out into the gravel?
No, they were marked out in his blood.
In his blood.
And you have pictures of them, but it's been days, and it's that was never going to last, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even carefully trying to maintain it, they took photographs and they sort of had to give up on the idea they were going to be able to maintain them in any detail. So you can see where there are like blood patches and stuff, because the scene hasn't been cleaned or anything, but it's not really easy to interpret or see them in person because it's been too long.
All right. I will follow Coach to the manhole cover and do what I just did when we first came to the scene again. Is there anything living in the general area of this area below us in the sewers?
Is there something down there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to. I can't obviously. I mean, actually, depending on how much organic material down there is, I could, but probably not. I'm not trying to go the whole length of the entire sewer system, obviously, or anything like that. I'm talking about if we go down there, are we going to be accosted?
Yeah. Go ahead and roll again.
1 success.
There's nothing like waiting on the other. There's nothing alive that's just waiting on the other side of the manhole cover.
Okay. How heavy does this look? Is this something we could do or no?
How heavy is the manhole cover?
Yeah.
Heavy enough. It's possible, but not easy for a conventional human to lift it. Usually, you use it's a regular type manhole cover, which is a burly guy uses a lever is usually the way that these things get opened.
Yeah. I look down at Coach and shrug my shoulders and go, "It's all you, sonny boy."
Coach kind of looks down a little bit, shakes, and as he shakes, he kind of like stands up and stretches and cracks and shifts back into Dalu form, which is his like near human form. and says, "Fine," and grabs one of the edge. There's holes in manhole covers, right? There's like a way to...
Yeah, there's a way to grab it.
He just kind of puts his claws underneath it and then kind of gets his fingers underneath it and then flips it up and says, "Okay, I guess we're going down." And Coach goes down first, I guess.
In that form?
Yes, in that form.
Mew hops on Amal's shoulders and Amal climbs down. Oh, sorry, what did I call it? Words of Dead Hunger, the ghost vision lasts for an hour.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, I'm going to let you guys go first. And then I'm going to do a quick once around and then go down as well. And I'm constantly, as is her way, she is in full sniper mode. So she is constantly looking at distances up and down the sewer as soon as she gets down there. So she is checking her 6 is what it is.
Gotcha. Okay, so she's on alert.
Yes.
All right. So it's dark down there in the sewer. There's no inherent light.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and activate Night Creature, which is the night vision / sketchiness detector. Like ethical sketchiness, I should say.
Right, ethical sketchiness.
Ethical sketchiness.
Yep.
Well, not much I can do about that. Like pitch black?
Yeah, I mean, there's no inherent light source.
That's it this week for The Chimera. Our theme music this season is Down Among the Dead Men, performed by Adrienne Howard, Emily Peterson, and Dirk I. Tiede. For information on other music used in this episode, check the show notes. You can support The Chimera by going to patreon.com/chimerapod. Patrons at any amount get access to behind-the-scenes setting and system info, art polls, and exclusive side games and one-shots. You can also find us online at thechimera.space or on Twitter and Facebook at ChimeraPod. We'll be back in 2 weeks with a new episode, so until then, thanks for listening.
You're in the box where I'm going to roll my dice. You have to always have this ends up.